You know, right now, in this very moment, you have a choice. You can continue to carry yesterday on your back like a heavy burden, or you can set it down and step into the miracle of now. The past is over. It's done. It's finished. And yet so many of us are living our lives as though it's still happening. We replay the old movies in our minds over and over again. We rehearse conversations that happened years ago. We hold on to pain that has no business being in our today. And in doing so, we miss the only moment that truly matters, the only moment where life actually exists. And that's right here, right now. The truth is, you cannot change what happened yesterday. You cannot go back and undo anything. You cannot rewrite history. But what you can do is stop letting yesterday dictate your today. What you can do is recognize that every single moment is a fresh start, a new beginning, an opportunity to choose differently. And that choice begins with understanding something very simple yet profound. God exists only in this present moment. The divine, the infinite intelligence, the source of all creation, it's not in your past. It's not waiting for you in your future. It's right here, right now, in this breath, in this heartbeat, in this moment of awareness. When you're dwelling on the past, you're essentially saying to the universe, I prefer to live in a place where God cannot reach me. Because God, the source, the infinite power that created you and sustains you, it operates only in the present moment. It's always now with the divine. There is no yesterday in the realm of spirit. There is no tomorrow. There is only this eternal now. And when you align yourself with that truth, when you bring your consciousness into this present moment, you align yourself with the power that creates worlds. Think about it for a moment. When you're stuck in the past, what are you really doing? You're taking your precious life energy, your attention, your focus, and you're investing it in something that no longer exists. It's like trying to water a plant that died last season. It's like trying to warm yourself with yesterday's sunshine. The past is gone. It's a memory. It's a thought. It has no reality except the reality you give it by thinking about it. And every moment you spend thinking about what was is a moment you're not available for what is. Now, I'm not saying that we should pretend the past didn't happen. I'm not suggesting we develop amnesia or ignore the lessons we've learned. What I'm saying is that we must stop living there. We must stop allowing our past experiences to define our present reality. Because when you do that, you're not really living. You're existing in a kind of trance, a hypnotic state, where you're continuously recreating the same patterns, the same pain, the same limitations that you experienced before. The ego loves the past. It thrives on it. The ego needs the past to maintain its identity. It says, this is who I am because of what happened to me. I am wounded because of this. I am angry because of that. I am unworthy because of what they said. I am broken because of what they did. And as long as you identify with those stories, as long as you believe that your past defines you, you remain trapped in a prison of your own making. But here's the beautiful truth. You are not your past. You are not your history. You are not the sum total of everything that has happened to you. You are a spiritual being having a human experience, and your essence, your true nature, is completely untouched by anything that has ever happened in the physical world. When you were created in the image and likeness of God. That means you were created perfect, whole, complete. And that perfection, that wholeness, that completeness, it's still there within you right now. It hasn't gone anywhere. It can't be destroyed. It can't be diminished. It can only be covered up by your identification with the ego, with the mind, with the stories you tell yourself about who you are based on your past experiences. So how do we break free from this trap? How do we leave the past behind and step into the present moment where God resides? It begins with awareness. It begins with catching yourself when you're drifting into the past. Notice when your mind starts replaying old scenes. Notice when you're rehashing old arguments, reliving old hurts, dwelling on old failures. Just notice it. Don't judge it. Don't criticize yourself for it. Just become aware that it's happening. Because awareness is the first step toward transformation. You cannot change what you're not aware of. Once you become aware that you're living in the past, you can make a conscious choice to return to the present moment. And how do you do that? You do it by bringing your attention to what's here right now. Feel your breath moving in and out of your body. Notice the sensations in your physical form. Listen to the sounds around you. Look at what's in front of you with fresh eyes. as if you're seeing it for the first time. This is how you anchor yourself in the now. This is how you come back to the only place where life actually happens. You see, the present moment is a miracle. It's the intersection of the temporal and the eternal. It's where the physical world meets the spiritual realm. It's where your human self connects with your divine nature. And when you're fully present, when you're completely here, something magical happens. You begin to feel a sense of peace that cannot be explained by your circumstances. You begin to experience a joy that doesn't depend on anything external. You begin to tap into a power and intelligence that far exceeds anything your logical mind could conceive. This is what it means to be with God in the present moment. It's not about following rituals or reciting prayers, although those things can certainly help. It's about being so fully present, so completely here, that you recognize the divine presence that permeates everything. It's about understanding that God is not some distant entity sitting on a throne in the sky judging you and keeping score. God is the very life force that animates your body. God is the awareness that allows you to know you exist. God is the love that binds all creation together. And all of that is available to you right now, in this moment, when you choose to be present. But the mind doesn't want to stay in the present moment. The mind wants to wander. It wants to go back to the past to analyze and figure things out. It wants to jump into the future to plan and worry and anticipate. And that's okay. That's what minds do. The key is not to identify with those thoughts. The key is to recognize that you are not your thoughts. You are the awareness that observes the thoughts. You are the consciousness that watches the mind doing its thing. And when you understand that, you gain the power to choose which thoughts you give your attention to and which ones you simply let pass by, like clouds in the sky. Every spiritual tradition teaches this same fundamental truth in different ways. Stay present. Be here now. This moment is all there is. The kingdom of heaven is at hand. Eternity is now. These aren't just pretty phrases or philosophical concepts. They're pointing to the most practical, most powerful tool you have for transforming your life. Because when you're present, when you're truly here, you cannot suffer from the past. You cannot be anxious about the future. You can only be at peace with what is. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, but what about the pain? What about the trauma? What about the things that were done to me that were truly terrible and unjust? And I want to acknowledge that, yes, sometimes we experience things in this life that are genuinely difficult and painful. I'm not minimizing that. I'm not saying you should just forget about it and pretend it didn't happen. What I'm saying is that holding on to that pain, continuing to identify with it, allowing it to define you in the present moment, that's what keeps you stuck. That's what prevents you from healing. That's what blocks you from receiving the infinite goodness that wants to flow into your life right now. Forgiveness is a big part of leaving the past behind. And forgiveness doesn't mean condoning what happened. It doesn't mean saying it was okay. It means releasing the emotional charge, letting go of the resentment, freeing yourself from the burden of carrying that anger and hurt around with you everywhere you go. When you forgive, you're not doing it for the other person, you're doing it for yourself. You're giving yourself permission to be free. You're choosing peace over pain, love over fear, presence over the past. I've worked with thousands of people over the years who were stuck in their past, and I can tell you that the moment they made the decision to forgive, to let go, to release the past, everything in their life began to shift. It's like they suddenly had access to an energy and vitality that had been locked away. Opportunities began to appear. Relationships began to heal. Health began to improve. Not because anything external changed, but because they changed. They changed their relationship to their past. They stopped being victims of their history and became creators of their present moment reality. And that's what you are, you know. You're a creator. You're creating your experience of life, moment by moment, through the thoughts you think, the beliefs you hold, the stories you tell yourself. And if your thoughts are all about the past, if your beliefs are based on old experiences, if your stories are all about what was done to you and what went wrong and why you are the way you are because of your history, then you're creating more of the same. You're keeping yourself trapped in a cycle of repetition. But when you shift your attention to the present moment, when you align yourself with the divine presence that exists right here, right now, you open yourself to infinite possibilities. You become a channel for miracles. You allow grace to flow through you. You tap into a wisdom and guidance that knows exactly what you need and exactly how to get you where you want to go. But it can only happen now. It can only happen when you're present. The future is nothing more than a series of present moments that haven't happened yet, and when those moments arrive, they will be now. So if you're always projecting yourself into the future, always planning and scheming and trying to control how things will unfold, you miss the only time when you actually have any power to create anything, and that's right now. Your power is in the present. Your ability to choose, to act, to shift your energy, to align with your highest self, all of that exists only in this moment. So what does it look like practically to live this way? It means waking up each morning and making a conscious decision not to carry yesterday's baggage into today. It means recognizing when your mind wants to drift into past grievances or future anxieties, and gently, lovingly bringing it back to what's happening right now. It means practicing presence throughout your day, washing the dishes with full attention, eating your meal with awareness, listening to someone speak without planning what you're going to say next, walking and actually feeling your feet on the ground, breathing and knowing you're breathing. These simple acts of presence may seem insignificant, but they're actually the most significant things you can do. Because each time you choose to be present, you're strengthening your connection to the divine. You're building your capacity to stay in the now. You're training your mind to serve you rather than letting it run wild and drag you wherever it wants to go. And here's something beautiful that happens when you commit to living this way. You begin to see that the present moment is always perfect, exactly as it is. Now that doesn't mean everything is pleasant. It doesn't mean there are no challenges or difficulties. What it means is that whatever is happening right now is exactly what needs to be happening for your highest growth and evolution. When you trust that, when you accept that, you stop resisting reality. And when you stop resisting reality, you stop creating suffering for yourself. Suffering comes from wanting things to be different than they are. Suffering comes from arguing with reality. Suffering comes from saying, this shouldn't be happening, that shouldn't have happened. Things should be different. But when you're aligned with the present moment, when you're at peace with what is, you realize that everything is unfolding perfectly. You may not understand it with your logical mind. You may not see the bigger picture. But you trust that there's a divine intelligence orchestrating everything, and that intelligence is infinitely wiser than your ego could ever be. This doesn't mean you become passive. It doesn't mean you don't take action or make changes. It means you act from a place of presence and peace rather than from fear and resistance. You do what needs to be done without the internal drama and turmoil. You respond to life rather than react to it. And there's a huge difference between those two. When you react, you're operating from old conditioning, old patterns, past programming. When you respond, you're acting from your highest self, from your connection to the divine, from the wisdom that exists in this present moment. God speaks to us in the present moment. Intuition, inspiration, creative ideas, solutions to problems, guidance about which way to go. All of that comes when we're present. It doesn't come when we're lost in thoughts about the past or worries about the future. It comes in the stillness, in the silence, in the space between our thoughts. And that's why practices like meditation are so powerful. They train us to access that stillness, to hear that quiet voice of wisdom, to feel that gentle guidance that's always available to us. But you don't need to sit in meditation for hours to access the present moment. You can do it anywhere, anytime. Waiting in line at the store, present. Stuck in traffic, present. Having a difficult conversation, present. Facing a challenge, present. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes. And eventually, presence becomes your default state rather than something you have to work at. When you live this way, you become a light to others. People feel your peace. They sense your groundedness. They're drawn to your energy because it's so different from the frenetic, anxious energy that most people carry. You don't have to preach to them or try to convince them of anything. Your presence alone teaches. Your way of being in the world inspires others to question their own relationship to the past and the future, and consider the possibility of living more fully in the now. Children are naturally present. Watch a child at play, and you'll see total absorption in the moment. They're not thinking about what happened yesterday or what might happen tomorrow. They're fully engaged with whatever is right in front of them, and that's why children are so joyful, so creative, so full of wonder. As we grow older, we lose that natural presence. We get conditioned by society to constantly think, analyze, plan, worry. We learn to live in our heads instead of in our direct experience of life. But we can reclaim that childlike presence. We can return to that state of simple being. It's our natural state. It's who we really are underneath all the mental noise. One of the biggest obstacles to living in the present moment is the belief that we need to hold on to the past in order to learn from it. We think that if we let go of our painful memories, we'll somehow forget the lessons and repeat the same mistakes. But that's not how it works. The lessons are already learned. They're integrated into your being. You don't need to keep replaying the painful experiences to remember what you learned from them. In fact, constantly revisiting the pain actually prevents you from fully embodying the wisdom you gained. Think of it like this. When you learn to ride a bicycle, at first you have to think about every movement. You're concentrating, trying not to fall, very aware of every action. But once you've learned, once the skill is integrated, you just ride. You don't need to consciously remember every time you fell or struggled. The wisdom is in your body, in your being. It's the same with life lessons. Once you've truly learned something, it becomes part of you. You don't need to keep the painful memory alive to access the wisdom. Another common concern is that if we let go of the past, we'll somehow dishonor those who have passed or the experiences we've shared with others. But releasing your attachment to the past doesn't mean you can't cherish beautiful memories or honor those you've loved. It means you don't live there. It means you don't define yourself by what was. You can appreciate the past without being imprisoned by it. You can remember without being trapped in remembrance. The quality of your life is determined by the quality of your consciousness in this moment. If your consciousness is cluttered with past regrets and future worries, you cannot experience the fullness of life that's available to you right now. But when you clean up your consciousness, when you clear out the mental clutter and bring all of your awareness to this moment, you create space for grace to enter. You create space for miracles. You create space for the divine to work through you and as you. God is not a concept to be understood. God is a presence to be experienced. And that experience is only available now. You can read all the books, study all the philosophies, memorize all the scriptures, but until you actually experience the divine presence in this moment, it's all just intellectual knowledge. It's information, not transformation. The transformation happens when you shift from thinking about God to being with God. And being with God means being fully present. There's a beautiful paradox here that's worth noting. When you let go of the past and future and fully inhabit the present moment, you actually become timeless. You step out of the stream of time and touch eternity. You realize that your true self, your essence, has never been born and will never die. It exists in an eternal now that was never created and can never be destroyed. This realization brings a peace that surpasses all understanding because you know, not intellectually but experientially, that you are so much more than this temporary physical form, so much more than this collection of memories and experiences. Your identification with the past is really just a case of mistaken identity. You've mistaken the content of your consciousness for consciousness itself. You've mistaken the experiences you've had for the experiencer. You've mistaken the roles you've played for the actor. But when you're truly present, you can observe the difference. You can see that there's awareness watching all of it, consciousness experiencing all of it, presence holding all of it. And that awareness, that consciousness, that presence, that's who you really are. That's your connection to the infinite. That's God expressing as you. Every moment you spend dwelling on the past is a moment you're rejecting the gift that life is offering you right now. And life is always offering you a gift. It's offering you this breath. It's offering you this sensation. It's offering you this opportunity to choose love over fear, peace over anxiety, presence over absence. But you have to be here to receive it. You have to be awake to recognize it. You have to be present to accept it. The ego will tell you that being present is boring, that nothing exciting is happening right now, that you need to think about the past to understand yourself or plan for the future to feel secure. But these are lies. These are the ego's strategies to keep you trapped in time, to keep you separated from your true nature, to keep you from experiencing the divine presence that's always here. The ego cannot survive in the present moment because the ego is nothing but a collection of thoughts about the past and future. When you're truly present, the ego dissolves. And that's what it fears most. So the ego will create drama. It will manufacture problems. It will obsess over past hurts and future fears. It will do anything to pull you out of the present moment. But once you see these tactics for what they are, once you recognize the ego's games, you're no longer fooled. You can smile at the mind's attempts to distract you and simply return to the now again and again and again, as many times as necessary, without judgment, without frustration, just a gentle return to presence. This practice of returning to the present moment is like building a muscle. At first it feels difficult. Your mind wanders constantly. You forget to be present. You get caught up in stories about the past. But the more you practice, the stronger your presence becomes. And eventually, something shifts. Presence becomes your natural state. You catch yourself sooner when you drift away. You spend more time in the now than in the realm of thought. And your life transforms in ways you never could have imagined. Relationships improve because you're actually present with the people in your life. Work becomes more fulfilling because you're fully engaged with what you're doing. Creativity flows because you're tapped into the source of all inspiration. Health improves because stress diminishes and your body's natural healing mechanisms can function optimally. Abundance increases because you're aligned with the infinite supply that exists in the present moment. Everything gets better, not because you're trying to make it better, but because you're finally allowing life to be what it is, which is always seeking to express its fullness through you. The past cannot touch you unless you invite it into your now. The future cannot frighten you unless you project your consciousness into it. But right now, in this moment, you are safe. You are whole. You are exactly where you need to be. Even if you're facing challenges, even if things feel difficult, the present moment itself is always okay. It's your thoughts about the present moment, your judgments and interpretations that cause the suffering. But the moment itself, just as it is perfect. When you understand this, you stop fighting with life. You stop trying to control everything. You stop demanding that reality conform to your expectations. Instead, you surrender. Not a weak surrender, not a giving up, but a powerful surrender to what is. And in that surrender, you find a strength you never knew you had. You find a peace that doesn't depend on circumstances. You find a joy that bubbles up from within regardless of what's happening around you. This is what it means to be with God in the present moment. It's not a religious concept, although all religions point to it in their own way. It's a direct experience of your true nature. It's the realization that you are not separate from the divine. You are not disconnected from the source. You are not alone in this universe. You are intimately connected to everything and everyone through the consciousness that permeates all of creation. And that consciousness is most accessible, most tangible, most real when you're fully present. So I'm inviting you right now to make a commitment to yourself, a commitment to practice presence, a commitment to leave the past behind, not by denying it or pretending it didn't happen, but by no longer allowing it to dictate your present experience. A commitment to stop projecting yourself into an imaginary future and instead put your creative energy into this moment, which is the only moment where anything can actually be created. Start small. Start with just a few moments of conscious presence each day. Maybe it's taking 3 deep breaths when you first wake up and really feeling the air moving in and out of your body. Maybe it's eating one meal without any distractions, just tasting the food and appreciating the nourishment. Maybe it's taking a short walk and actually noticing your surroundings instead of being lost in thought. These small practices will build. They'll accumulate. They'll transform your consciousness over time. And be patient with yourself. You've spent years, maybe decades, living primarily in your thoughts about the past and future. It's a deeply ingrained habit. It's not going to change overnight. But every moment you catch yourself and return to presence is a victory. Every time you choose now over then, you're strengthening your connection to the divine. Every instance of conscious awareness is a step toward freedom. Remember, you are not trying to achieve some special state. You're not trying to become enlightened or reach some far-off goal. You're simply returning to your natural state of presence. You're remembering who you truly are. You're coming home to yourself. And home is always here, always now, always available. The past is a story. The future is a story. But this moment, right now, this is real. This is alive. This is where God is waiting to meet you, not waiting in time, but present in the eternal now. And when you show up fully for this moment, when you bring all of your awareness to what is, you will find that everything you've been searching for, everything you've been longing for, it's all here. It always has been. You just couldn't see it because you were looking everywhere except the one place it actually exists, which is right here, right now, in this precious, eternal, infinitely creative present moment. Your life is happening now, not yesterday, not tomorrow, now. And the quality of your life, the depth of your experience, the peace in your heart, the love you feel, the joy you express, it all depends on your ability to be present for it. So let go of what was. Stop worrying about what might be and give yourself fully to what is. This is where life happens. This is where healing occurs. This is where transformation takes place. This is where you meet the divine. Right here, right now, in this eternal, blessed, sacred present moment,